So, let's talk about the year 2030. And no, this isn't some far-off sci-fi fantasy anymore. I mean, it's right around the corner. And it's looking like it's going to be one of the most, well, transformative, disruptive, and honestly, kind of chaotic moments in all of human history. And it all boils down to one thing: artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
You know, this quote, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly sums up the massive conflict we're staring down. We're about to have this incredible, almost godlike power to solve the biggest problems we face: climate change, disease, you name it. But the big question is, are we actually going to do that? Or are we just going to use this immense power to, I don't know, make corporate quarterly reports a little more efficient? That's the real choice, the central dilemma of this whole AGI revolution.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into what's actually powering this AGI engine. Then we'll look at the two big paths we could go down: the amazing solve-everything future, or the not-so-great great fumble. We'll also talk about the real-world roadblocks and wrap up by asking the big one: which of these futures are we actually building?
Okay, first up, the engine of AGI. Let's dig into the nuts and bolts. What's making this 2030 timeline feel so real? Like less of a prediction and more of a buckle up, it's happening kind of thing. Well, it really all starts with this one idea that until recently was pretty much just science fiction.
And that idea is the technological singularity. So what is it? It's the hypothetical point where AI doesn't just get as smart as us, it blows right past us. It starts improving itself over and over at a speed we can't even comprehend. It's a runaway train of intelligence that we can't predict, we can't control, and it basically rewrites the entire rulebook for how the world works.
This chart just, wow, it shows it perfectly. Look at that flattish line. That's us, humanity, chugging along, getting a little smarter over a long, long time. Now look at that other line, the one that's going almost straight up. That's machine intelligence. And the singularity? It's that exact point where those two lines cross. As you can see, we are really, really close to that point. It means we're about to share the planet with something way, way smarter than we are. And yeah, that's both incredibly exciting and, let's be honest, a little bit terrifying.
So how in the world are we getting there so quickly? It really comes down to four key things that are happening all at once. First, we're just making the models bigger, scaling them up with insane amounts of data. Second, we're not just feeding them facts, we're teaching them how to reason, to think through problems step by step. Third, we're literally giving them more thinking time for the really tough problems. And finally, and this is the real game changer, we're turning them from just chatbots that you talk to into actual autonomous agents. We're talking about AIs that can take on a goal and work on it for weeks, totally on their own, kind of like a digital software engineer.
I mean, just look at this timeline. The pace is absolutely breakneck. These aren't just minor updates like a new phone model. Every single one of these is a massive leap forward. We're going from real-time conversations with vision and audio to AIs designed specifically for complex scientific reasoning. And we're doing it in the span of months, not years. The time between these huge breakthroughs is getting shorter and shorter. It's happening way faster than pretty much anyone thought possible.
Okay, so with that kind of incredible power on the horizon, you can start to imagine a pretty amazing future, right? So let's go there first. Let's explore path number one, the optimistic version, where we actually solve everything. What would that world even look like?
First, let's just talk money. The numbers are staggering. We're talking about a potential $13 trillion in new global economic activity by 2030. Let me put that into perspective for you. That is more than the entire current economy of China. This isn't just a little boost. This is a complete rewiring of the global economy as we know it.
And all that economic value, it could completely transform our daily lives. I mean, just picture it. Healthcare, where AI diagnostics are 1,000 times more accurate than a human doctor. Education that lasts your whole life, with a personal AI tutor that knows exactly how you learn best. At home, you've got robots doing the laundry and tidying up. And to make it all work, we might see new ideas like universal basic income, but maybe paired with you actually owning a piece of the automated systems that are creating all this wealth.
And really, that's the ultimate dream here, isn't it? It's not just about convenience. It's about taking on the huge, moonshot challenges. Imagine unleashing millions of genius-level AI minds on a problem like fusion energy. They could probably crack it in a few years. AGI could be the key to a future that, right now, we can only dream about.
But you knew there was a but coming, right? For every beautiful, optimistic vision, there's always a darker path. And that brings us to path number two, the great fumble.
This is the future where we have all this incredible power and we just drop the ball. We misuse it and it leads to chaos, massive unemployment, and deep inequality.
So remember that awesome $13 trillion number? Well, here's the number from the other side of the coin, 300 million. That's how many full-time jobs could be automated away by AI. 300 million. That's a shock to the system on a scale we've never seen before. A shock that could destabilize, well, everything. And let's be real, we are not ready for it.
And this chart really shows you what that looks like. You're seeing that almost a third of all jobs could be completely impacted by this stuff. And look at that other number, 14% of the entire global workforce. That means 1 in 7 people might have to completely change careers by 2030. This isn't some problem for our grandkids. This is happening right now.
But here's the really interesting part. It's not as simple as all the jobs are going away. It's more like a massive reshuffling. The jobs that are all about routine, predictable tasks, yeah, those are disappearing, and fast. Job postings for those are dropping like a rock. But, and this is a big but, the jobs that require human creativity, critical thinking, and working alongside AI, those are booming. We're talking a projected 22% growth every quarter. So the challenge isn't just job loss, it's a race to reskill millions of people, like yesterday.
And this quote, it just nails the real fear. The AI apocalypse isn't going to be some evil AI from the movies. No, the real apocalypse is when a company decides it's cheaper to replace a person with an AI that's, well, just not ready for prime time. An AI that's just good enough to look profitable on a spreadsheet but is laughably bad at handling the messy, unpredictable real world. That's the real danger. That's how things get ugly, fast.
Okay, so we've got the super optimistic future and the super pessimistic one. But before we get too carried away with either, we need a reality check. Let's talk about the actual physical roadblocks that could slow this whole thing down.
You know that exponential curve we saw? It can't go up forever. Eventually, it hits a wall, or in this case, a few walls. We're talking about money. Training something like a GPT-8 could cost trillions of dollars. We're talking about power. These data centers are unbelievably power-hungry. And we're talking about chips. There's a physical limit to how many we can make. The experts think all of this, money, power, and chips, is going to come to a head sometime between 2028 and 2032. That could be the moment this whole runaway train has to hit the brakes.
But even if we get past all those physical limits, there's a bigger, maybe even trickier question. Even if we build these incredibly powerful AIs, can we actually trust them? Can we believe what they tell us? I mean, think about it. Would you bet your life on an AI's answer? This table tells a really interesting story. On one side, you have an AI that's programmed to always give an answer, to just take a guess. On the other, you have one that's allowed to say, I don't know. Now, the guessing model looks a tiny bit more accurate on paper, but look at its error rate. It's wrong, what we call hallucinating, a whopping 75% of the time. The other model, the one that can admit when it's not sure, its error rate is way, way lower. It shows that sometimes the smartest thing an AI can do is admit it doesn't know. And that's a huge deal when you're talking about using this stuff for things that really matter.
And because of this whole trust issue, pretty much everyone, from the AI labs to the government regulators, is coming to the same conclusion. For the really important stuff, like medicine, law, or finance, AI can be an amazing assistant, a powerful tool. But it can't be the final decision maker. You have to have a human expert in the loop, period.
All right, so that brings us to the most important part of this whole conversation. Because this future, the utopia or the dystopia, it's not set in stone. It's not just something that's going to happen to us. It's something we are all building right now with every single decision we make.
Look, the technology itself is on a set path for the next few years. The train has left the station. The labs have the money, the models are being trained. That part is happening. But how we use it, that's the part that's still up for grabs. Do we use it to empower people or just to cut costs? Do we aim it at our biggest problems or just let it displace millions of workers? That's the part we get to decide.
So it all comes down to this. We are literally building the most powerful tool in human history. The tool itself is almost ready. The one thing we're missing is the instruction manual. We haven't written it yet, so the final question is, what should be on page 1?